All right, a very good morning, good afternoon to everyone who has just joined us. Welcome to today's webinar on the new Web of Science. My name is Julian and I'll be your trainer, the presenter for today. Just some housekeeping before we begin. Just make sure that all your lines are on mute because we are on recording. We are recording the session at the moment. So if you have any questions, just type the questions into the Q&A panel so that we can address them at the end of the session today. Also, if you have any audio issues, just type the comments into the chat box, and then my colleagues Jihan or Jiho will be able to attend to you. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy today's webinar session. I'll be turning off my video for the rest of the webinar so that I can conserve my PC speed. All right, so here we go. So for today's webinar, we will be focusing on the brand new features and the fresh look of the new Web of Science. And my role within Clarivate is a regional solution consultant. Some of you might have met me at different webinar sessions or training sessions that I've had around the region. And I do look forward to meeting all of you in person again soon. So once again, welcome to the brand new look and feel of the new Web of Science. It was launched on 7th of July. So all of you who have previously had access to Web of Science via your institutions, when you switched over to turn on Web of Science on the 8th of July, you would have seen a brand new look. Some of you might have been surprised, but there was already a parallel access to the new Web of Science preview over the past half a year. All right. So as of 7th of July, the default view is the new interface, but later on, I'll show you how you can retrieve the classic Web of Science if you still want to refer to the old interface. So what's new on Web of Science? We have changed the whole interface. So it's all new, very clean design. We've also improved on the page load speeds. So you would observe that there has been a faster page loading recently. We've also improved the design, making it more user-friendly, streamline the interface so that it becomes more responsive and supports your advanced research workflows. It is not the end of the improvements that we have on Web of Science. It is an ongoing iteration, and we will be introducing new technologies over the rest of this year, as well as into the new year 2022. So of course, we would always encourage you to provide us with your valuable feedback so that we can bring in new enhancements so that it can benefit you as a researcher through your research process. So in a nutshell, what's new on the new Web of Science? This is just a summary page. I will not go through the full details. I will be walking you through the live demonstration towards the middle of the session today. But these are just some of the more exciting features that we have released. Pardon the menu at the top. I can't seem to make it close, but ultimately, these are some of the exciting new features. We have an enriched cited reference section. So with some of the open access journals that we have currently on Web of Science, we have introduced this enriched cited references. We have also introduced the new author impact beamplots for the author records within the Web of Science. We've also included an improvement to the search functionalities as well as the advanced search functionalities as well. There is also an app version. So we have the My Research Assistant available for you to download onto your mobile device. The access to My Research Assistant is free for, there's a basic level that is available for free, but if your institution has full access to Web of Science, you will be able to use that same registration that you have used on Web of Science to access the full content on the app. So I'll be going through various sections here, focusing on key features. Okay. So the first section will be on searching and the results pages on the new Web of Science. So in terms of searching, we have improved the advanced search functionality and included something called the Advanced Search Query Builder. This is in an effort to help any new researchers or early career researchers who need to build very long, complex search strings to find something niche within their own specialization. Okay. Boolean searching can be quite daunting for any new researchers. So what we've done is we've incorporated this query builder so that they can just select the relevant fields that they want to search and add it to the query. And the query builder will put in the relevant Boolean connectors, as well as structure it with the correct parentheses and so on, so that you do not have any mistakes in that Boolean search. We've also included the exact search toggle. Okay. So the toggle will turn off lemmatization or stemming to exactly match your search query. And as I mentioned, the query builder will allow you to add to your queries and structure it so that we include the special fields that you require, for example, UTs, ascension numbers for the articles, DOIs, PubMed IDs, and so on. On the search results page, we also now allow you to copy the query link so that you can share this with your colleagues or your teammates so that they can also replicate that same search that you have been doing on the Web of Science. We also include the EndNote click functionality to allow you to retrieve full text when available in one click. And the sort results is now changed. So the sorting of the results is now by default sorted by relevance. But of course, the citations sorting and the date sorting, those are still applicable, and those are still choices that you can use to sort your results. We also included an early access filter for the search results. So we now allow you to quickly filter through the early access content so that you are able to surface the most recent documents related to that particular field. And we also included the export functionality. So we have improved our export functionality to incorporate Excel. We've also included, increased the limit. So in the past, there was a limit of 500 records per export. We've increased that to 1,000 at the moment. And also, we've included an article recommendations in the new Web of Science. And if this can be found on the results page. So next to your search results tab, which is the publications tab, you would see this section called You May Also Like. This would surface some additional content for you that is related to your search. So this will give you other recommendations so that we can expedite your search on that particular keywords that you have actually used. Then the next sections that we've updated are the authors search and records pages. You can now search authors' names by their full name. So you can type in their full name, their last name and first name in full, or you can search by ID. So you have the Web of Science Researcher ID or the ORCID ID as the author identifiers for you to search for the authors. And we've enhanced the authors' records on Web of Science. We have recently just included their peer review information onto the Web of Science author record. So you're able to see this author's peer review awards if he has received one. And this becomes a full 360-degree view of the author's work, both from a publication standpoint as well as a review perspective. We've also introduced the author impact beam plot as a way to look at an author's performance over the years, because no one's careers can be boiled down to a single number, and neither can their publications. So by following best practices for research evaluation can be complex and sometimes seem impossible at scale. So what we've done is we've incorporated the Web of Science author impact beam plot as a new way to understand the citation impact of an author's research. So within this author impact beam plot, it will show the percentile rank of each paper in its category and year based on the number of citations of each paper. So you will be able to clearly understand from a citation impact perspective how that author's performance has been through his career. So this is actually presented as a support to our white paper, which was launched a few years ago, which is called the Profiles Not Metrics Report, where we indicated that we need to have a profile to be able to further ascertain a set of documents' performance. And you will then be able to clearly see the performance of that set of paper using the profiles rather than a single point or metric. Then in terms of the article records, we have also included some additional information here. The citation network is still visible on the records page, but we have enhanced the journal information. So if your institution has a subscription to journal citation reports, you will be able to see the journal's journal impact factor for that current year. Okay. And at the same time, if you have a subscription to the other additional databases within the Web of Science platform, you will also be able to immediately see all the citations in each of those relevant databases. Full text links are still visible, but this time around, we've also incorporated open access full text links, and you're also able to filter down to the relevant full open access content. We have categorized the open access content into gold, gold hybrid, free to read, green published, green accepted, and green submitted. So I'll spend a little bit of time to explain what each of these are for the benefit of the researchers on the line. So those articles in open access that are considered gold have been identified as having a Creative Commons license by our research unpaywall database. Gold hybrid are those that have been identified as having a Creative Commons license by our research, but are not in journals listed as gold. Free to read are those that are free public access articles located on publishers' sites, which means to say some of these journals might require a subscription. However, certain articles may have been made free to read by that publisher. Then we have the green access content, which is categorized by published, accepted, and submitted. These are usually documents hosted on an institutional or subject-based repository. So we have the different levels, which is the published, accepted, and the submitted for this set of documents. So on Web of Science, you are now able to filter down to each of these options to find those content that you require if you need some analysis on open access. If you want to search on Google Scholar, there is now a direct link to search on Google Scholar on the article page. So the Web of Science core collection now offers a links to Google Scholar for content from articles indexed in Science Citation Index Expanded, Social Science Citation Index, or Arts and Humanities Citation Index from 1945 to present. But of course, it also depends on the subscription that you have via your institution. For this article recommendation, this is via the article page itself. So on the full record page, we've also incorporated additional article recommendations for you so that we can enhance your exploration of that set content. So this can be found here just under the view related records link. And this will be additional content related to what you're reading right now on the full record page. And you can continue on your research discovery by clicking through those of interest to you. Now for the enriched cited references, this is one of the most exciting developments on Web of Science recently. We have incorporated how the cited references have been mentioned in context to the article. Okay, what does this allow you to see? It will allow you to answer some of these questions. For example, what are the key things that are happening in this field? What do the experts think? Can I trust the results of this paper? Because if the references are mainly used in specific sections, then it might not be totally relevant. How important is this particular reference in this context? Okay, all this will be answerable using the enriched cited reference section. This is currently in beta phase, so we have released this for a sample set of documents, mainly from open access content. Okay. And what we've done is we've classified the cited references based on its use. So for, let's say for example, if a particular paper has 100 references, we basically put these references into the context of the full text document. So we will mention to you which of these references have been mentioned in the background of the article, basis, compare, and discuss. So later on, as I go through the live demonstration, I will be elaborating on these a bit more. But because this have been categorized into the various sections, you will then be able to quickly see which of these references are of more importance for your own research discovery. Additional information that we've incorporated into the full record is the funding data. So if a grant has been awarded to the paper, this will be indicated in the funding details section. In the past, we've only included mention of the funding agency, but we've enhanced this information by incorporating data from NIH, Fed Reporter, NSF, ResearchFish, and Kaken. We are expanding this across the other research grant bodies across the globe. But as of now, those that have been incorporated are those that I've mentioned earlier on. If they've included monetary funding, this is also included into the funding data, where you can see the total award that has been provided for this particular research. Now, in last year, we still had Copernio, but it has already been rebranded to EndNote-Click. So for those of you who are familiar with Copernio, just take note, this has been rebranded to EndNote-Click. So installation is still the same. You install this onto your web browser. It can work on the Google Chrome or even on the Firefox browsers. And once you have installed this, this will help you to easily retrieve full text that is subscribed by your institution or open access. Okay, so this would definitely save you some time in trying to retrieve or search for that particular paper if you require the full text. I mentioned earlier on about My Research Assistant. You can download this for your Apple device or Android devices. So to access Web of Science My Research Assistant app, you will need to do a registration on your Web of Science platform for your own ID and password via your institutional access. Once you have that user ID and password, you log into the app using that email and password that you have created, and you will be mirroring that same set of content that you are able to search through from your institution's access. We have, as I mentioned, this is not the first iteration of Web of Science, so we will continue to improve through the rest of this year. And this is our product roadmap for the rest of 2021, and also some concepts to be discovered and explored for next year. Okay. So some of the interesting information that we are exploring is, for example, improved citation topics on Web of Science, okay, open peer review, researcher and third-party APIs, additional hosted third-party content sets, one-box searching, and exporting to EndNote groups. Okay. So these are just some of the new untested concepts that we are exploring, and we value your valuable feedback so that we can prioritize which of these features should be pushed out first. Okay. So before I go into the live demonstration of the new Web of Science, these are some of the training resources available for you. So this slide deck will be provided to you together with the recording sometime later this week or next week. Okay. And the links are live on the slide deck, and you can click through to the support pages that you require. Okay. So now let me just take you to the new Web of Science homepage. So to access Web of Science, your institution will need to have a subscription to the Web of Science. Okay. And it will be accessed via IP or Open Athens or single sign-on. Okay. This can be, so if you are accessing this through your library, just go to your library's homepage, look for Web of Science under online databases, and you will be able to come into Web of Science. I understand that many of you are now working off campus. So if your library has an off-campus access, please look for the off-campus link to access Web of Science. So to demonstrate the new features of Web of Science now, I will be using a simple use case of searching for a topic so that I can take you through the whole interface. So for today's search, I will be searching for a topic around tumor or cancer. Okay, but of course, tumor and cancer is a very broad topic. So as a researcher, for example, you want to start by casting your net wider to do a broad search. So you can do that with Web of Science first. You can start with a broad search and then use the various filter functions that we have to further narrow things down to the specific content that you're looking for. By doing this, it reduces the opportunity for you to miss out on any key research papers that you should actually be referring to. Okay. So to start off using Web of Science first, you can start with a topic search. You can use tumor, cancer as my search. So for today, I'll be using this search string. Click on search. So as you can see here, you have over 3 million results. Okay, that's a huge number. So how would you then narrow things down to what you require specifically? Now, let's say, for example, I am a chemistry researcher, and I'm looking at the use of a specific chemical compound on the treatment of cancer, specifically a tumor. Then from this search result, I can further refine this by searching for that specific chemical compound that I'm interested in. So for today, I'm looking at epoximycin. So I want to take a look at epoximycin's use within cancer. So I would do a search again. And you can now see that it has drastically reduced the whole number down to 93. So from this 93 records, these are all papers talking about epoximycins and cancer. Okay, so as you can see here, you have anti-tumor, epoximycin. So these are all the mentions of the keywords. The next thing that you can do is sort the list by site. So you can sort by relevance. So relevance is by default. So the most relevant ones will surface at the top. But when it comes to research discovery, you want to be able to trace historically when was this particular compound first mentioned. Okay. It's important to find out when it's first mentioned because then you can trace the evolution of that particular compound and how it has moved through time, and perhaps it has also been cultivated into a drug treatment. Okay? So you want to start exploring the literature that way. So you can sort this list by date. So you can sort this by oldest first, so that you can look at the most important papers in history about epoximycin. So epoximycin here is mentioned first in 1992. So you have the 1992 paper about epoximycin, a new anti-tumor agent of microbial origin. And you can see who are their researchers. You can have a quick look at the abstract immediately. You can look at the journal information by clicking on this journal link. Okay, so as I mentioned, you need to have journal citation reports in order to see the journal impact factor. Otherwise, you will just be looking at the quartile. So if this is the paper that you want to start looking at, just click through to this particular record. Okay, but before I go there, let me just show you this. So you may also like is the new recommended set of documents that we have included. So based on your search on tumor, cancer, epoximycin, we have surfaced additional papers that you might be interested in, but may not have that particular keyword that you were just searching for. Okay. So just going back to publications again. From here, you can see the epoximycin paper, click through, and this is the record page on Web of Science. So for Web of Science content, we have indexed the full metadata of the record from the article title, the authors' names and their affiliations, the full abstract, as well as the keywords. Okay. And then we also have the other data fields. So if you click on the plus sign, you will see the additional data fields available. As you scroll down, you will be looking at the journal information. On the right-hand side, this is the citation network. So Web of Science is a citation network database. So we index the full reference list of all papers indexed in Web of Science. This will then allow you to quickly see which are the most relevant content, okay, and allow you to explore the citation network. So you can clearly see the relationship and the developments between one paper to another. So to explore the citation network, there are three options for you. One is to click on citations. So citations means that ever since this particular article has been published, okay, it has been cited 162 times. So if you're looking at this 162 citations, you're looking at the newer papers. So these are papers published after the year 1992. Okay, so these are the newer papers. Then the next one would be cited reference. So cited reference is the reference list that has been used by this particular paper. So there are 4 of these papers here. And you can look at the references, which is the historical papers that have been used to substantiate the findings within this research article. The third way of exploring here will be view related records. Okay, because we index all the reference lists of every single paper, we are able to quickly compare between different papers to see which of these share similar references. So they may not have cited each other, however, they share similar references with each other. Okay, so these are related records. So you're able to explore the full citation network of this article by looking at this column on the right-hand side. There is also a you may also like section here at the bottom, which is similar to the one that I showed you earlier on the search results page. This will allow you to link through to the additional relevant records around approximation tumor cancer search. If this is a paper that is of interest to you, you might want to use this feature called mark list. So you might want to add this to your mark list. So the mark list functionality is not something new, but I want to reiterate this because it is a very important functionality when you're doing research discovery. When you're building on your research portfolio of articles, okay, the mark list comes in very handy as a way for you to bookmark those important papers on Web of Science. So you can add to mark list. So when you click on add to mark list, this star will appear and your mark list will have an additional paper included. Okay? So as you browse through Web of Science and you look through important papers that you want to keep, okay, just continue using this add to mark list function to start building that customized results list for your own use. If you want to export this directly to your manuscript management, your reference management tool like EndNote, you can do so by clicking Export EndNote Online, EndNote Desktop. We also have the RIS export right here for other non-EndNote tools. Okay, the next thing that you might want to explore from this paper is after this approximation has been discovered, what else has been done? So by clicking on 162, you will then start exploring the development and the evolution of approximation over time. Okay, so from these 162 papers, there's a few things that you can see on the left-hand side here. There are some quick filters. So you will be able to see out of these 162 papers, there are actually 2 highly cited papers. So highly cited papers are papers that have been published in the past 10 years that have citations that put them in the top 1% of their field. Okay, so these are very important papers that you should be referring to. Okay, and you can filter this by highly cited papers as well. One thing to note, this particular filter will only appear when you have a subscription to Insight's Essential Science Indicators. Okay. There are also other filters here. So specifically, if you're looking at the pharmacological use of approximation, you might want to refine this to a specific subject category on Web of Science. So on the Web of Science subject categories, you can limit this to a specific one, and this would then refine your search down to certain types of papers. Okay. Or you can just simply do a new sort. So you want to find the most highest cited papers. You can sort this by citations with the highest first. Okay. And if you want to look at the most relevant and more important text, okay, or research article, okay, because this is a review paper, this might not be an original, this is not an original research paper. The next one is an original research paper, so you might want to refer to this one. So it says that approximation has been used and exhibits in vivo anti-inflammatory activity. So again, if this is the path that you want to take for your research, you can then continue on to explore this particular paper and looking at their citations again. Okay, so you can see this purple thing keep popping up as I go through my presentation. Okay, this is EndNote click working in the background, which means to say, for example, this particular paper here has a free full text from the publisher, and EndNote click has just retrieved that full text for you. So if you click on view PDF right here, it will basically pull out the full text PDF for you onto your screen. This is currently still on the cloud. Okay, so if you want to keep this onto your own PC, just click on download PDF. Okay, and you can save this onto your desktop. Okay. From here, you can also export this directly to EndNote Desktop. And when you do so, for those of you who are already using EndNote, this would mean that it is also attaching this PDF onto your reference list in EndNote. Okay. So just going back to Web of Science again. Okay. Now, the next thing I wanted to show you was something around the enhanced cited references. So if you click on this 745 and you want to continue exploring, okay, so this 757 papers have been talking about epoximycin and its anti-inflammatory activity, and you can start browsing through. And as you come across any particular article that has this icon here, Enriched cited references, it means that this particular article has this particular feature. So to explain a bit about this feature, I'm just going to click into this record here. Okay. And when you go to the cited references, if you click on 100 and just load a bit more. Okay, so here, click on 109. This will take you to the list of references. Sorry, just give me a minute. Okay, just give me a minute to wait for this. Okay, so coming back to this particular page, as you scroll down, this will load soon. Okay, so just give me a minute. You'll be able to see more data fields, and then at the bottom here, this is where you will see the cited reference section. Okay, so you have 109 references used in this paper, and you can then start exploring where the references have been mentioned. So it shows that 31 have been mentioned in introduction, 56 have been mentioned in materials and methods, 28 in results, 60 in the discussion section. So if you are specific in what you're looking for and you find that maybe the references to the methods is more important, okay, then you can expand on this section and take a closer look at the papers used. So there is one paper here. It will mention about the consensus, this paper about consensus, HIV, and so on. If you want to view how it is mentioned in the text or referred to in the text, just click on View in Text Mentions. So pardon the speed, usually it will be quite quick. There might be some updating going on in the background at the moment. Okay. Perhaps there's some update going on in the background, and that's why it's not showing well. Okay. So pardon me, but yes, so the text mention is here. So as you can see here, it's mentioned in this particular text, and you can see its relevance, and you can then determine whether this particular reference is of importance to you. And if it is, then you can add this to your marked list. So this is the text. This is the reference that was used, and you can then view that particular reference from here. Okay. Now let's go back to the 757 results. So from here, you can look at the 757 results here and do some analysis. So for example, you want to look at analyze results. Okay, there's this functionality on Web of Science that allows you to look at this 757 publications to have a closer look at who is publishing in this space, which are the journals that you can publish in if you're working on this particular research. It also allows you to identify quickly your collaborators, potential collaborators, based on institutions as well as their author names. Okay? So in the Analyze Results page, you can select any of these fields to analyze. So if you're looking for a collaborator, you could identify potential affiliations to collaborate with. So which universities are doing this area of research. You can also look at the publication titles. So publication titles will show you the journals that publish this area of research. So because your search results are very specific and is specific to epoximycin tumor use and in vivo anti-inflammatory properties, then these are specific to that search that you're looking for, right? So it becomes easier to pinpoint exactly which journals are most suitable for your publication. The other thing that you might want to look at is countries. So you want to see which countries are predominantly doing this area of research. So all these can be exported. Okay, you can export this table as well. Just click on download and you can download the full content. Right. There are other areas that you can look at. So for example, open access. So if you're doing this particular area of research, what's the open access landscape looking like? Right. So this is the Analyze Results functionality. The other thing that I would want to show you is the citation reports. So there's another tool here called Citation Report. So if you click on Citation Report, this will bring you to the citations for this 757 papers. So these have been cited by these articles, and it's been cited 42,499 times. And you are able to see the publication as well as the citation over time. This particular chart can be quite useful when it comes to grant applications, because if you require some evidence to show that this area of research is a promising one and is still of interest to the research community and it's relevant to the current state of events in the world, then you would want to show that it's on an increase. Okay, increased publications over time will show you that it's of more relevance in today's climate. So you can download this chart and put that into your grant application to be supporting evidence for your research paper. Okay. All right, so I've just shown you how you can kind of navigate through Web of Science by doing that quick search and exploring the citation network. The next thing that I will quickly demonstrate to you is the advanced search. So there's an advanced search functionality here. So you can click on advanced search. There's an option for you to select the relevant fields that you want to. So you can click on topic and you can search for, let's say, marine pollution. Okay, so let's say this is my first search term, marine pollution, and I add this to my query. You can see here it is now creating an advanced search for you with the correct parentheses as well as the correct terms and field text. Then the next thing that you want to add is perhaps years published. So it could be 2011 to 2020. You can use and or not as your connectors. So I want an and, and you add to query. And you can see now publication year field tag has been included. Okay. So you can continue building on this list. Okay. Okay. And once you're done, just click on search. Right. The available field tags are here as well. So if you want to build on your own, you can do so through this particular space here. As you scroll down, you can also see your search history for your sessions. And if you want to add these into the search string as well, you can. Okay, I won't be adding this to do a search, but just an example, if you want to add this as a topic, you can add to search and it will ask you to add it with an N or not. And you can then start combining your search strings together. Okay. So let's say I'm going to search this particular records. And you can see here, the advanced search string is right here. If you have created a very long one, it might be difficult for you to quickly share this with your teammates in the past. Okay, but now it's easier. So if I copy this query link, okay, and if I were to put this into the chat box, okay, to all attendees, for those of you who have access to Web of Science, you can then quickly click on that and you will be seeing exactly what I'm looking at. Okay. If you want to create an alert, creating alerts has become simplified as well. So for this search string, if you want new content to be alerted to you, just create an alert here, just name the alert, and that's it. Okay. There is also citation alerts available on the article level. So you can click through to each article, and then you can create a citation alert. Okay. To retrieve your search history or alerts, they are here at the top. So alerts are right here. You can have your citation alerts here, your journal alerts, okay? And the history, the search histories are here. Okay? And you can still copy the link immediately from this search history. Now, a bit about the marked list is right now. So if you've completed compiling your custom set of documents that you want to keep for that topic that you were looking for, okay, this is the marked list section. So going to the marked list, what you can do is save this. Okay, you can create a new list, or you can add it to your existing ones. Okay, if you are going to create a new list, just click create a new list, create the name, and that will be how you create your list. Once you're done, okay, you come back to marked list and you retrieve from my lists section. So if you click on, for example, gravitational waves, so this is my set of custom documents. You can still use this analyze results feature on this custom set of results that you have. So earlier on, when I was showing you the analyze results feature, that was based on a search within Web of Science. But now on marked list, you can use that same functionality to do an analysis on this custom set of documents that you have just bookmarked. Okay, same thing goes for the citation report. Okay. And then the final few things I wanted to show you before we go into the Q&A segment is the authors. So if you're searching for an author's name, you can now search for the author's details right here. Okay, I'm going to just use the same example that I was showing earlier on. If you have a publication that is indexed in Web of Science already and you want to claim your own author record, like Prof. Lam has done, then you basically search for your own last name and first name and retrieve your own author record and claim. Okay, I will show that to you later on as well. So Lam Shu Xiong, search. Okay, so this is the claim profile. All claim profiles will have a green tick right here, and it will include the author's Web of Science researcher ID, which will become the unique identifier of that author on Web of Science. We will include all the peer review information awards that he has done. We are working on migrating the peer review records into this as well, but the timeline has not been confirmed as yet. As of now, the author record on Web of Science allows you to see his past affiliations, his author impact beamplot, which is the citation percentile of his publications over the years, okay? 100 being the best. All right, so this particular author, Prof. Lam, his papers, his median percentile is about 85%. Okay? Then you can see the H index. You can also look at the peer review metrics. So the number of peer reviews that he has done, okay, his author position based on his publications. So he has 230 publications, out of which 14% of them are first authored, 26% are last authored, and 37% is corresponding authored. You can also explore his co-author network. So if he frequently publishes with these co-authors, you can explore these researchers as well. For the full author impact beam plot, just click on author impact beam plot tab right here. You can look at the most recent 10 years, or you can look at his full career. So this becomes a very useful tool for researcher evaluations from institutions. So it can be used together with the H index. Okay. There are simple instructions on how to read this. So essentially, if you're looking at, for example, 2017, there is this particular paper. So his paper about in environmental sciences has garnered 65 citations. And this places this paper in the 97th percentile in the year 2017. Okay? So this is a very good paper that he has produced in the year 2017. And the green bubbles here will be the median percentile of all the papers he has published in that year. Okay. Okay. So to search for the author that you want to claim. So for example, you want to claim your own paper. I'm just going to type an example. Okay, let's take this particular example, do a search. Okay, so let's say this is you and you want to claim this profile for this record yourself. Check your publication, check that this is your paper, okay, and then click on claim my record. So once you claim your record, it will ask you to proceed to claim this record by creating a Publons ID. Okay, so Publons is a free platform that allows you to currently maintain both your peer review work as well as your publications. Okay, so if you have already got a login, okay, you can sign in with your current login for Publons. Otherwise, the system will prompt you to create a new profile, a new ID, and then you can just claim this paper for yourself. Okay. So once you have claimed that paper, it will take about 72 hours to show your unique Web of Science researcher ID here on your Web of Science author record. And you can then use that researcher ID as your sign-off on your emails and so on to identify yourself as that specific researcher. Okay. And finally, maybe if you're still very used to the Web of Science Classic option, there is an opportunity for you to go back to the Web of Science Classic platform from the products right here. Okay. And also, if you want to install EndNoteClick, EndNoteClick can also be found here. Okay. The Resource Center, which is where this question mark is a very good place to start to understand more about Web of Science and how to navigate through Web of Science through using the guided tours, trainings, and when there's any new product updates, this will be shown here under product update section. If you have any suggestions for new features, please use this suggest a feature, and we'll be happy to hear from you so that we can further improve on Web of Science. Okay, so now I believe we have time to open to questions. So I think Jiho, you will be helping with the questions here.
Yeah, thanks, Judith. That was really great to see the Web of Science in action. We've got a lot of questions coming through. So I'll start with one that's related just to what you've shown with suggesting corrections for author records. What if you're an administrator and you're not the actual author? How can you improve those author records?
Okay, that's a very good question. So one thing I need to clarify is the submit for correction option will only appear for those author records that have not been claimed by the author. So for example, if, let me just find another one. Okay, so let's find one that has not been claimed. So let's say this particular record has not been claimed before. Okay, there you will be able to submit a correction to say, hey, out of these 10 publications, a few of them don't actually belong to him or her. Then you can use this functionality to update. So we will require you to fill out a bit of a form to show your relation to this author, so that we can clean this up on your behalf. Okay, but that's it. It is just correcting that particular set of author records. So for those that have been claimed already, which is, for example, this particular one, okay, there is an option that there will not be an option. So this has already been claimed by the author. Therefore, you have to write in a request directly via the email. Okay, so I hope that answers the question.
Great, thanks, Julie. Now, we had lots of questions on the You May Also Like feature. And if you can tell the attendees how we suggest those records for You May Also Like.
Okay, so for example, for this particular case, if I were to just quickly look at epoxamycin, so these are based on whether they have been mentioned together or they have been frequently, they have similar references used, then those are also surfaced here. So they may not have been using the same keywords, but these would all be based on their citations that have been used, whether they have been cited by others in the same field, same topic. References that are similar will also be used here. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Julie. What articles have the enriched cited reference data? How are they selected?
Yeah, so for now, we have a beta set that is based off, I believe, close to 1,000 records currently for using the open access journal. So we have the unpaywall and also DOAJ as points of reference for the open access content. But this is just a sample set. So as of now, this if you do a filter on open access, you will be able to quickly find that particular enriched reference option. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Since we're at the top of the hour, I'll ask one more question, and then if we haven't answered your questions either through the Q&A, we'll reach out to you separately. So the last question is, can we assume all the publications in Web of Science are not predatory?
That's actually a very good question. So we at Web of Science, the Web of Science core collection selection process is a very strict one that we always adhere to, meaning all the journals that want to be indexed in the Web of Science core collection has to fulfill 24 quality criteria, as well as 4 impact criteria if they want to be indexed in the flagship specialized collections. So when it comes to evaluating the journals, this is done when they have requested to be indexed. If they are given, if they are indexed in ESCI and they have been triggered to be evaluated for impact, we will start the evaluation process all the way from the quality criteria first, because we know and understand that the journals sometimes change in terms of their publication patterns. So we want to make sure that they always adhere to the strict quality criteria that we have. And therefore, periodically, we will always monitor for this. At the same time, if there has been feedback from the researchers, okay, these will be taken into consideration, and our editorial team will look at that particular journal in more detail to see whether has that journal indeed changed in its behavior. And if it has, we will supply them with letters of editorial concern. If they do not change their behavior, they could be suppressed, or they could even be taken off the list. So to answer the question on whether we index any predatory journals, I would say that with the strict criteria that we have already tried to avoid as much as we can to index these journals that do not meet our standards. Right? So I hope that answers the question.
Great, thank you, Julie. Just want to thank you for the webinar and presenting. We're now at the top of the hour, so I just want to thank everyone for their attendance, and we'll be sharing the slides and recording to you all and get back to you on the questions that remain unanswered. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.